You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box. Welcome to the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast. You are now listening to the Hot Take Hot Box.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast, brought to you by the Hot Take Hot Box. Everyone out there, we thank you as always for listening. We are here pre-UFC 291, pre-Spence Crawford, probably the best boxing match of the year, you'd say, right, Ty?
Of the year, could be one of the most hyped boxing matches in the last 10 years in welterweight history, at least since, Hagler Hearns or Mayweather Pacquiao, even though that was a little too late. I think this fight's a little too late, like 5 years-ish. Crawford's 35, Spence is 33, but it's here. Finally, it's not too late, but yeah, huge weekend for combat sports.
We never seem to get these fights in their prime, and
Never.
when we, in theory, their prime. These guys are still two very highly talented, highly respected, highly hyped fighters. So excited for that. My name is Matt McSweeney. I am joined by that man over there. That's Ty Capone. You can't see him, and neither can I, but he is out there, and he is talking to everyone. We are going to start with 291, Ty. We've been talking about this card for a little bit. This is quite an event, an exciting event. Just with the main event, let alone that fight can happen anytime, anywhere, any place, and you'll have me as a fan watching. I mean, this is easily probably one of the most exciting, just off of the action that's going to happen, fights that you can make in UFC, because there's just no way. I would seriously bet my house that there's no way this is going to be not exciting, right? I mean, that's just it's one of them fucking bangers, man.
It's one of those main event co-main. There's been often times where we have a co-main event that's a flyweight title fight or a women's title fight that you're going to see a Valentina or Figueiredo or Demetrius Johnson or Amanda Nunes, but maybe the opponent isn't that great, or maybe the matchup's not that great stylistically. But man, it's really hard to be a main event co-main duo like Dustin, Justin 2, and then Jan Blachowicz, Alex Pereira. That's gonna be tough to beat. You know what I mean? When it comes to excitedness, just violence, really. I mean, you got Dustin and Justin at 155, and you got Jan and Alex at 205. Very different sized people, but there's going to be blood regardless. We have a rematch in the main event. I think it was about 5 years ago. I guess we should just get on right into it. Yeah, they both fought, five and a half years ago. They're both 34. They both have lost recently. I think they're both 1-1 in the last two. They both lost to Charles.
Yeah.
So it's hard to take that much away. Dustin went to, I believe, the third with Charles.
Yes.
But if you're not on his level as a grappler, which nobody really is, he's going to get you out of there. So I don't hold that against either of them. This is at elevation, which I don't love as a whole for the card. I mean, you're going to see, Derek Lewis and Claudio Ribeiro at elevation. It's going to be there's going to be a lot of gassing.
A lot of gassing out on this card for sure.
Kevin Holland, a lot of stunt pullers. So Priscilla Cachoeira, she goes past one round, she's cooked. So I don't love that.
That's at any elevation, by the way. That's not even with the whole Salt Lake City element involved.
Funny enough, I have seen a lot of people training in the mountains and training at elevation. I think Michel Pereira has been he was running with the Army. They were doing a bunch of crazy shit. I think I don't know if it was. I have it somewhere written down. I think it was Salvador, a guy who has always been a gasser. Pretty much, he's first rounder bust. He's been training in the mountains, so I don't know where exactly, but either way, I mean, it seems like everybody's prepping well for this. I mean, we'll see if anybody misses weight. I think we've had a couple events in a row where not really many people, it seems like not many people have been missing weight lately in the UFC. I don't know if anybody's talking about that. I've noticed it.
There's only been one or two in the last month or so that I think maybe
awesome.
One that had to pull out. I forget which fighter that was or what card it was, but there was somebody that had to pull out. But
So,
yeah, you're right. Other than that, it's been kind of a clean sort of bill of health, you would say.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, this card starts at 6:30. That's not bad. I mean, the first fight is Priscilla Cachoeira Miranda Maverick. Thank God, right? So we all get to reset our clocks to 7, pretty much when the card starts.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean,
we might as well just get right into it. I was going to say we might as well start right at the top. Dustin Poirier, like you said, Justin Gaethje, 2 highly ranked guys in the UFC. You'd say probably the winner of this gets the next title shot. I mean, that's definitely an argument to be had there. It's going to be Charles and Islam next, and then after that, it's these two. It's number 2 Dustin Poirier and number 3 Justin Gaethje. So, what do the odds tell you? We have Poirier is not a big favorite, but somewhat considerable at minus 160, 155, 150 on some of these books to Justin Gaethje's plus 125 pretty much across the board. So, excuse me, I don't know really. My instinct lean is Dustin Poirier. But that fight, that first one, was very close. And although, Gaethje wound up getting finished, it's because he got hit with an absolute nuke. Towards the later end, he had taken a lot of damage leading up to that. Both had. I mean, Poirier was hurt at multiple times during that fight. If you have not watched that fight, you should go back and watch it. It was during my early days of being a hardcore fan. It was one of the things where I'm just like, wow, like this is why. Now I get why people love this shit because it's, from the outside looking in, you don't really at that time nobody really knew who. A Dustin Poirier or a Justin Gaethje is the mainstream.
That was a fight night.
Exactly, and that's a fight night, and you're getting a banger like that. Yeah.
The feature bout was Izzy and Vittori.
Exactly.
You had Alex Oliveira and Carlos Condit ahead of Izzy and Vittori 1. Big card. I mean, you had your cool hand Luke Sanderses of the world and Patrick Williams. I think that's Chicago Bulls forward.
Different guy.
Gilbert Burns was buried on the prelim. So, yeah, I mean, this was so long ago, but also I feel like, sometimes when you see guys run it back in the UFC or in boxing, not boxing's immediate rematches most of the time, but in MMA, when you see them running back, it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years after the first fight. You're like, I don't know what I'm getting. One of these fighters is cooked, one of them isn't. One of them has been through this, one of them hasn't. So this is kind of fresh-ish, right? I don't think neither of them are watched yet. I think this is a huge fight for both of them. I mean, this could be like a legacy fight. It could be a career-defining fight. They're both, I guess if you lose, you're pretty much fucked. I mean, not necessarily fucked. Like you don't get pushed to the very back, but you definitely have to wait a little bit. You know what I mean? You definitely are going to have to fight a Fiziev Gamrot winner.
You might not get that title shot though by the time all this is said.
Yeah, it might be done.
Yeah.
And you win. You're right there. You call the shots. Both guys can pretty much do what they want. They've avoided fighting, the Fizievs and the Sarukians. Well, I think Justin did fight Fiziev. So,
yeah.
But some of them have been, kind of just been sitting around. Dustin does a lot. He's just been sitting around waiting, calling his shots because you kind of can after a certain amount of years. So
beat Conor McGregor twice, so you can pretty much do whatever you want after that.
So this is big, man. This is really big, and I don't know if either guy has really separated themselves over the last 5.5 years. I think this is just two of the best lightweights ever. I mean, Gaethje has the highest striking accuracy in lightweight history. I think Dustin has the most knockdowns and knockouts in lightweight history, the most fight of the nights in UFC history. And the first fight was good, man. He was winning the first fight, I think, kind of easily the first 2 rounds, and then he got rocked in the third, and then he finished him off in the beginning of the fourth. Made Justin do the stanky leg.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you look at the volume, if you look at the output of both guys in that fight, it was like, I think it was like 174 to 115 for Dustin. I mean, that's just an insane amount of volume. I mean, they're throwing 100 strikes each round. They're landing 40, 50 strikes each round. Pretty good percentage, too, around 50% each way. It was Dustin that was shooting for takedowns in the first fight. He couldn't get them. And Justin was chipping away at his legs. Something he's going to do again. They both have good low kicks. They both mirror each other in some ways. They're both dogs. They both have good chins, but they both get hit a little bit. I think, obviously, Justin gets hit much more than Dustin. Dustin, I think, has probably some of the best all-around boxing in the UFC. I don't think...
We've said that, for a while now.
Definitely up there. And Justin, Justin in his later years has become much more tame. He's not as wild. He likes to sit back and kind of counterpunch or, just wait. So he's not a wild man as he once was, when he fought James Vick, which worked for him, right? When he fought Vick, Barbosa, Cowboy. Just look at the Tony Ferguson fight. It took him forever to get a finish, and that, Tony didn't even go down. So, yeah, this is going to be a close fight, man. I don't know. I think Justin's bigger, but he's not as long as Dustin, so I think that's going to play a factor. I got Dustin to win, maybe late stoppage, maybe a war of a decision. It's kind of hard for me to really – there's a lot of variables in this fight. I could see Dustin Poirier getting a takedown or two in this fight. I just don't think that's going to be a big strategy on either side. So, if it's going to be a war for 25 minutes or less, yeah, I don't know. I think Dustin should get it done. I think he's got the better boxing, the better chin. I don't know if he has more power, but he definitely can string together a lot of power. Better defensively. I think he's smarter. I know Justin trains at elevation, but I don't think that's going to be a problem for Dustin Poirier. You know what I mean? I don't think that's somebody who's going to just gas out after one or two rounds. He's a consummate professional, one of the best fighters, one of the best lightweights ever. So it's going to be a war, man. It could go either way. I'm not going to bet on it strictly because of that, and I kind of want to just sit back and watch the main event as a fan. I'm going to take Dustin Poirier like 4th or 5th round knockout.
Yeah, I could see that too. Like this fight is about as evenly matched as you could write down on paper. It's just a razor thin sort of thing. I mean, and obviously Dustin Poirier has that upper hand in the sense that he won. They already fought and he won that first one. I just, a lot of time has passed since then. Like you said, they're both somewhat different fighters. I think Poirier is more similar to that back then than he is. I mean, he hasn't really changed his game that much. He's just kind of gotten better, right? I would say. But like you said, Gaethje's kind of chilled out a little bit, more of a trying to use his IQ, and you saw that in the Fiziev fight where maybe he was fighting a guy who was quicker than him and maybe had more technical skill, but he was just popping that jab out there, and just kind of doing what he needed to do, fire them leg kicks, and just I could see a lot of that happening in this fight. I really do worry about this elevation being a factor. I know, not necessarily in this fight, but I just think, like we kind of talked about throughout the card, it's just something that you have to keep your eye on. And I'm going to try and stay away from a lot of these inside the distance bets because they kind of have been burning me these last couple weeks, and I feel like, they're in front of people, it's going to be like, I never know, man. I really just never know. Yeah. And a couple of these fighters I had last week who I could have had wins, I took inside the distance when I could have, maybe taken something else or maybe parlayed it with something else, instead of just trying for the inside the distance and going for the plus money the whole time. And I think Poirier is within reach. I don't really like – I'm kind of with you. If I was going to bet, these are two bets, I like Gaethje. I really do like Gaethje in this fight just based off the fact that I think he's just going to be able to – I think this is going to be a case where these guys respect each other a lot, and it's going to be exciting, but it's not. I don't think there's no way they could live up to that output and hype that they had in that first one. So I think it's going to be much more of an older guys fighting where there's like high-level chess being played, and we kind of, you'll have Rogan in here trying to explain how, this guy's, they're going back and forth, and they're this and that, and then DC will be like, oh, watch a takedown, and then we'll be like, oh, man, like, we've had to listen to 17 fights of this, but the bet I really like, and I think I'm going to take it and just be upset when someone gets finished, fight to go to decision is plus 180. And
interesting.
I just think that, I think this is going to be, this fight was very close to going to decision the first time. And I think it's going to be a different fight this time, and I don't really like this bet, and I think I might regret it, but I'm just going to take it. Fight to go to distance. Plus 180.
All right. We do have a Rogan DC Anik combo for this card. Chael Sonnen is back to the desk with Anthony Smith, Michael Eaves, and Dean Thomas. That's a pretty good staff. Sonnen, Anthony Smith, Dean Thomas, and then you have, of course, our girl Megan O'Leary. Can't have the hardcore conservative Charlie Arnault or Arnold, whatever her name is. Can't have her back in there.
Having a rough go at it, yeah.
I was wondering if you saw the same thing I saw.
Where she was talking about Bronny having a heart attack? Is that what the deal was?
Yeah, she was like, I think we all know what that means. I'm like, oh.
Well,
anyway,
then Chael started talking about how people have heart attacks when they're doing EPO. I'm like, oh man, guys. I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? As I sit here, though, I'm kind of disgusted that I just wrote that down on the paper, and I'm reserving the judgment till the end to change my mind. So you people, there's your little tidbit of information, Easter egg, to make sure that you listen towards the end. And that just feels disgusting because but I don't know who's gonna win. That's where I'm kind of with you. Like I want to stay away, but I also want to bet something, and I just think when I saw that, I was like, that's my number one.
Yeah, I could see it happen. It almost happened in the last fight, but Justin started doing the stanky leg right in the fourth. You never know if he would have not got hit with that exact shot. Maybe it goes on much longer. Who knows?
His corner was also telling him in that fight, don't worry about the cards. Go out and finish this guy. So
yeah,
they're
both at a different point in their career. In their 30s, this is kind of do or die in a way. They're both smarter. They're both, this might be their peak. Honestly, both of them, which sounds a little crazy. Maybe they're not as athletically gifted or as quick, but I don't know, man. This is just it's going to be a banger. I cannot wait. I really hope they time it right. That we don't have Spence Crawford at the same time as this. It's kind of hard to avoid, I guess. And this starts at 6:30. There's only 12 fights on the card. Maybe one of them. Maybe Priscilla Cachoeira catches a cough and she has to pull out. And I don't know. It would be nice if this card ended before midnight, but that's obviously probably not going to happen. So.
Yeah, and do you care about it being for the BMF at all?
I mean,
it adds a little spice to it, but so what, really?
It works with the UFC fans because UFC fans, MMA fans in general, they love little gimmicks, right? You have The Rock come out here and put the belt around Masvidal's waist. They don't care about Dana White saying, this is a one-off, this is never going to happen again. We don't do gimmick fights, which is so funny considering Mike Jackson was in the UFC. But also they were going to have Joe Rogan fight Wesley Snipes, so,
Yeah, and now Mark Zuckerberg's going to fight Elon Musk. So,
talk about not doing gimmick fights, but MMA fans don't care about that. They see Masvidal come out, they're going to be, wired up, and then he's going to put the belt, the vacant belt around the winner's waist, and then Masvidal and Askren, they're going to run it back. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, we'll see if that actually happens. But I really am truly excited for the main event. And now what we're going to talk about and the co-main event. Alex Poatan Pereira is making his 205-pound debut, as he was at 185 for his last fight. Obviously, got knocked out about 3.5 months ago. He's going to get right back in there against Jan Blachowicz, man. Which this is no easy task or a small feat. Going up that quickly, in time. For a guy who was the former light heavyweight champion and, who's right there. He probably could be waiting around for his own light heavyweight title shot. Now that, that division's always in flux, and it's especially in flux now with, the champion tearing his Achilles playing basketball. So there's really not a champion in 205. It's kind of a power vacuum. So
very unlucky division, it seems like lately.
Yeah, and
or just in general. Has John Jones dominating it for 10 years, and then now everybody that is coming up is getting hurt or something.
Quick title changes. There's a lot going on there.
Johnny Walker,
Yeah, Valton Walker. You can't forget about him. But minus 110, pretty much across the board. There's some variation back and forth, but that's for Alex Pereira. Jan Blachowicz is a slight favorite, it seems, on some of these websites. But I swear, man, this is right down the middle for most of these sports books. I like Pereira here, man. I feel like it's not the same as Izzy going up to 185 pounds. The reasons why I wouldn't bet him is that Blachowicz is probably going to try and take him down, hold him down, and just that's going to be his game plan. The durability is a question now with Pereira, who's been through a lot of wars in his career, and he kind of did get flatlined. At the end of his last fight, and that was not that long ago. People take much longer off for that kind of stuff. It's worrisome that he might get hit, with a shot that would not have even put him down maybe 6 months from now, and he goes to sleep again. That's a big concern, but I think his power there's going to be too much power for Blachowicz, and Blachowicz is another guy who does not take a shot well either. So I think I'm going to take Pereira Pereira money line unless the inside the distance is plus 150. I'd say I'd probably take Pereira inside the distance plus 150.
Yeah,
and that's
like
it. Seems like a sucker bet, but I can't let this slide.
Yeah, it feels like that's he's not going to win a decision out here, but I guess it could happen. That it does work. This is kind of like the main event. I don't really know what to do. It's down the middle. There's a lot of variables. He's moving up to his rightful weight class, which I think is going to matter a lot. Maybe it doesn't matter for some. Maybe it doesn't matter as much for Uros Medic moving up from 155 to 170, right? That we're going to see early in the card. But for Alex Pereira going from 185 to 205, that is a huge difference. I think it's going to be a huge difference with when Errol Spence moves up to 154 as well. And it's something we see in guys' career as they get older. Canelo, Floyd. I know I'm talking about boxers, but just fighters in general, just fighting in general. And his debut at 185, Andreas Michailidis was doing some good things against him. I think that was a sign that he can't make that weight class. I mean, he probably fights at 220, 230. Not to say Jan. I mean, Jan's probably the same weight on fight day. But having that 15 pound, 20 pounds that you don't have to cut as much, that's going to be crucial. But again, man, also it's going to be crucial. He just got knocked out cold 3.5 months ago. Like that's a quick turnaround, quick turnaround. And then you're turning around and fighting the legendary Polish Power, right? And Jan Blachowicz.
Don't say that, man. Don't say
the legendary Polish Power. But I will say, who is he really? When has that Polish Power really been on display? Like, who is he really knocked out and flatlined?
Corey Anderson.
He knocked it.
That's it.
Right. Corey Anderson, Dominic Reyes, and Alexander Rakic, who I think did his knee blow out in that fight. And also, Rakic held him down pretty easily when he got that takedown. 4.5 minutes of control on the one takedown. How many takedowns does Jan Blachowicz have in his last 9 fights, not counting the Izzy fight?
I'm not sure.
0. How many times does he attempt it? How many takedown attempts does he have in that span?
0?
1. So it's not something he does.
God,
it's not something. It's not. I mean, we didn't see him do it against Izzy until the second, third round when he was like, "Fuck, I might have to do this," and he did it, and it worked. But Izzy was moving up to 205. Izzy's small for 185. I should say small for 185, but when he fought at 205, I think he weighed in at like 204 or 203. Like. He's a skinny dude. Had the pizza. He's very skinny. I'm not going to say he's weak, but moving up weight classes is tough, man. Especially when you're on your back and you have Jan Blachowicz on top of you. But we've seen. That's why I see a lot of people talking about Jan taking down. He's going to wrestle fuck him. I'm like, I don't know, man. Alex Pereira has been training with Glover Teixeira for a couple of years now, and I don't know if that's necessarily going to make him a black belt. I know he's a brown belt now, I think, or maybe I don't know if he's a brown or a white. I forget. I think brown. White's when you first start, right?
Yeah. Did you see the video of Alex Pereira wrestling with Glover in the water, and he tries to drown him? Like he's a fucking sicko, dude.
He's a scary guy. He's also smiling a lot more, which kind of terrifies me.
Because he's not hungry.
Right. I don't know if he's not hungry. Glover said he's never seen somebody.
I meant physically.
Okay.
That's what I meant. Like, no, the guy's hungry for
eat anything. He's hungry right now. He's going to keep eating. He's a big boy. Glover's like, yeah, anything I make, he eats. So that's why I love making food for him. Like, that's a cute relationship. I love both of them, honestly. But if there's anybody to work with to shore up your grappling defense or your grappling in general, it's definitely Glover Teixeira. And what do we see when Jan Blachowicz fought Glover Teixeira? Insta tap. Yeah. Ankalaev and Rakic both held him down very easily. Not to say those guys are bums, but very easily. And one time, what has been a punch, a shot that has hurt Jan Blachowicz multiple times? Left hook. I think Jan Blachowicz is going to get knocked out by Alex Pereira. I think it's going to happen early. Jan does have some nasty leg kicks, man. It seems like you can't win a leg kick battle with him. He has just steel in his shins, but a lot of what he does well, I think, is going to get neutralized. I think he's really going to have to hurt Pereira early and just get him out of there quick, or honestly just do the wrestling, go the wrestling route. But that's easier said than done, man. Alex Pereira is a sniper. He's got good kicks himself. I mean, he's a pro kickboxer champion.
Jan's 40 as well, so that's all. I mean, he's an old man.
Old. I know Alex isn't young, but you're 40. Like,
The man's 40.
I don't know, man. The man's 40, but I just think there's a lot of things going right for Alex. The only thing that's not is the recent knockout. And again, I can't discount that at all. I can't discredit it. But I feel like maybe it gets neutralized by him moving up a weight class. Maybe I don't know if that's naive to think. It's hard for me to really exactly quantify these things and how to factor them. But I just got to go with my gut, man. I think Alex Pereira is going to put him out with a left hook. And I think once he gets Jan Blachowicz hurt, I think that's it. Jan's not going to panic wrestle, right? So give me Alex Pereira, first round knockout.
Are you taking that on the card?
Yep. I will take on the card. I'm going to play. It's funny because Jan a couple days ago was like -130, -140. So give me Jan. Give me Pereira inside the distance.
All right, +150 with the boy.
Never know, man. He might get his first sub.
That's what I'm worried about. Like that he, like you said, he panic wrestles and he gets caught in something where he's not ready for it.
Yeah, yeah. Or he's turtling up and Alex is like, "I'm gonna put some hooks in." And I'm like, "Whoa, where'd you learn that from? Did you learn that in the river?"
Dude, I mean, he tried to kill him. That was insane. When I watched that video, I was just cracking up. Like, he just grabs his head and dunks him underwater. I'm like, holy shit, dude. No, but I'm with you. +150. It's not enough to go to the +170 for the TKO. TKO. I'll just take my insurance on maybe there being a sub. So, or I might lose anyway. I might as well just
or disqualification. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson still getting after it, man. Michel Pereira.
We have a lot of old guys in this country.
It really is. A 40-year-old gentleman. Now, he has a 2-inch reach advantage against Michel Pereira, who is... This is easily Michel Pereira's biggest fight, right? I mean, he was supposed to fight Sean Brady. That got canceled. This is a perfect sort of stylistic matchup, you would say.
Tristan Connolly.
Yeah, listen. I have never... I'm not saying I'm a hater of Pereira, but I've never been like, well, like this guy is a world beater or unstoppable. Like I feel like this is a really tough matchup for him to kind of win, unless he's going to implement some sort of wrestling or takedown. Which I mean, I'm not saying that can't happen, but it's not really something that he tends to go to all that often. I mean, you going to a split decision with Ponzinibbio the last time out, and he did not look good in that fight. Is just
especially late, man.
Yeah.
That was looking late. I mean, the third round, Pons put up a lot of volume on him, and he didn't take Pons down, but when he fought Nico Price, he took Nico Price down 3 times. That was all early. When it got to the third round, he couldn't get a takedown. He was getting outstruck badly by Nico Price, and that was not too long. That was 2021. That was almost a year ago, and a little bit more than a year ago, or 2 years. I'm sorry. And Nico Price he's cooked now, but he was pretty washed up then too. He got outstruck by Chaos Williams at range, at distance, when they fought. Like, I think he has reeled it in a little bit, like that craziness. He's not doing all that insane shit. But how crazy is that Michel Pereira has 1 KO in the UFC? For all the stunts that he does, all the craziness, he has 1 KO. It was against Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts, who just has a chin made of rubber.
Know. I mean, go listen to last week's episode if you want to hear our actual thoughts on Danny Hot Chocolate Roberts.
And that was his first fight. Like, after that, he pulled a massive, one of the biggest stunts ever against Tristan Connolly, who I don't even think he was in the UFC after that fight. Like, big underdog win. And then
I think he fought Pat Sabatini after that, and then it was just kind of thanks for coming.
No, he's done.
Darren Elkins. Then he fought Darren Elkins. Now he's in BFL, losing to Xavier Nash.
There you go, Kevin Nash's brother. So,
Kevin Nash.
I think Michel Pereira has reeled it in. I think he is a black belt. I think he's lower output. He's faded late. So I don't really know. I guess he has to wrestle. I guess that could be his path to victory. But Wonderboy's takedown defense, not awesome, but not awful, right? I think Bilal and Gilbert Burns, I think, kind of skew the numbers a little bit.
Yeah,
they skew the number. Matt Brown, when they fought way back in the day, I think his numbers are skewed a little bit. Kevin Holland took him down twice, but not for long. And I mean, dude, what he did to Kevin Holland was one of his best performances ever. I mean, and that was just a couple months ago. Some of those kicks he was throwing really just had some steam behind it. And I know he's a nice guy and whatnot, but look at his last couple fights, his last couple wins, I should say. 163 significant strikes against Kevin Holland, 171 against Jeff Neal, 138 against Vicente Luque. He's putting that volume out. I just don't know how Michel Pereira can beat him if he's not taking him down and controlling him. I just think that's a little harder. It's a little easier said than done. Wonder Boy has elite movement when he's hit. He has elite movement when he's cornered. He's very smart at getting out of trouble, getting out of the way. He's very cognizant of that. I kind of wonder if he'll wake up for this fight, right? This is a big step down. I mean, you're fighting Kevin Holland, Bilal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns, and now you're fighting Michel Pereira. So it's kind of like, also, I don't think a 40-year-old has beaten somebody 10 plus years younger than him. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's ever happened.
Got it. So Jim Miller had to have gotten that done at some point, man.
He's not even 40 yet, I don't think.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's like
39. 40 in dog years, dude.
Well, so am I, but I just think this is something that Wonder Boy gets done. I know it's a kind of closely aligned. I'm kind of with you. I've never been on the Michel Pereira bandwagon. He's exciting and crazy, but he's kind of reeled some of that in. And if he's going to be patient, if he's going to be fighting a patient fight against Wonder Boy, there's zero chance you win that. Yeah. Zero chance you win that. So I'm going to go Wonder Boy. I kind of want to take him by decision, but I'm not going to bet on it. He is 40. Michel Pereira is hell on wheels, so there's a little bit of variance there. I'm going to stay away to that in that sense.
Well, you already said it. I'm taking Wonder Boy decision plus 160. If you look at all of Wonder Boy's the last 7 years of his career, he only has one finish, and that's we had to go all the way back to 2016 when he spinning back kicked Johnny Hendricks, and that was kind of,
I remember that.
I don't want to say fluky, but it was insane. The rest of these have been decisions other than him getting finished, and the Kevin Holland one, which was kind of just him breaking his hand, and it still took 20 minutes. This fight's only going to be 3 rounds. I think Wonder Boy beats him up pretty good on the feet. And maybe he tries to implement some wrestling, or someone tries to implement some wrestling at some point. But I think Wonder Boy controls this, uses his veteran sort of knowledge and skill, and the fact that Michel Pereira has not really beaten anybody that I would say is like, wow, like even close to really Wonder Boy's level. So I'm going to go with Wonder Boy and still hoping that, that was 8 months ago, the Holland fight, and there was no signs of him being on the other side of the hill or cooked. He still looked the exact same. So I'm going to hope that he still looks the same when he gets in there on Saturday night. Thompson decision, plus 160.
I like it.
How about this, baby? El Kukui. It's always good. It's always good when you get to see El Kukui getting back in there against Bobby Green. This is two wild card people, wild card human beings getting in there to throw down, I would say, excellent matchmaking by the UFC. You got Bobby Green is a big favorite here. Minus 380. 375, 400 on some sports books, up to Tony Ferguson at plus 310, plus 280. Ty, this instantly just screams to me, stay away from this. This is not a fight that I want to be investing any sort of money in. Bobby Green is coming off of getting finished by Drew Dober, and that was in December. Before that, the Islam fight, which no one really holds against him, and then the headbutt, that was 3 months ago? Yeah, against Jared Gordon.
April.
So, and El Kukui, obviously, we are aware of what has happened to him of recent. He has not been the same since that Gaethje fight, and he got flatlined completely by Michael Chandler. But, I think this being a 3-round fight is going to help him out. He got kind of thrown into a 5-round fight last time with Nate Diaz. And he did some good stuff, but he didn't look good physically is the big problem here. And he's, really close to 40, but he's, fighting a guy who's also in that age bracket. I guess I'll just ask you what your thoughts are. I don't think I have anything here unless you say something that makes me want to bet it.
I'll say this. Tony Ferguson plus 1,200 sub is very enticing.
Wow.
It's a huge number. But when's the last time he subbed somebody? Was it Kevin Lee? So 6 years ago almost. I don't know. Yeah, even in the Gaethje fight, he was doing well. He hurt Gaethje at the end of the first. He was doing pretty well against Nate Diaz. I think he won the first round against Michael Chandler, if I remember correctly.
I don't know if the judges thought so, but I definitely thought so.
Yeah, so I don't want to say that was a fluky finish. Chandler will never win a fight like that again. Ferguson will never lose like that again. Just a perfect storm, right?
Yeah.
And man, it's hard. It's hard to get behind him. I think he is well past it. I don't think there's any coming back from the surgeries, the wars that he's been in, and he's never been the smartest guy, right? Even in fighting style, he's picking up sand and throwing at people, and it's like, all right, yeah, that's some cool showmanship, I guess. But when we haven't seen him win a fight since 2019 against a washed Cowboy, and he won. I think Cowboy's eye was fucked, just like Anthony Pettis' hand was fucked when he beat him. So it's just been a while, man, and I really want to take him here against Bobby Green. I just can't. I mean, the fight's going to stay standing for a while, or at least for the beginning part of it. Bobby Green's not young either, right? And he's also had some rough luck as of late, but he should destroy him on the feet as long as this fight is standing. He should be winning easily. I don't know if he could hurt or finish him. I don't see why he couldn't at this stage of Tony's career, right? I don't know. I just worry about Bobby Green. He's not necessarily smart either. He's made a lot of mistakes in his career. I think I would take him. I'm gonna stay away betting wise. There's two guys who make critical mistakes. They're both at the end of their career, right? Bobby's 36, so I'm gonna stay away. I'm gonna go Bobby by decision. I think this could be a kind of a sad, boring, not good fight. I think you could see Tony do some of that Imanari rolling that just doesn't work, or throwing stuff up from his back. I mean, I could see Bobby taking him down and getting on top of him and getting some top control. Probably not what he should do, but it's definitely something that could happen. I'm trying to look at some of his wrestling. He doesn't go for it much, but he does get 1.28 per 15. He hasn't really. I mean, last time he took Thiago Moises down a couple times, so I don't think he's necessarily scared. I think he should win this fight easily. I think Tony's just done, pretty much.
And this fight is at 55?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say the only thing that stops me from maybe trying to fire a little green prop is that, I don't trust him to not get caught, like you said, get caught in a sub, or like you said, take him down. And then, like, Tony Ferguson, the best he's looked of recent was in that Chandler fight in that first round, because he got taken down. He was chipping him up on the feet. I believe he hit him with either a straight right or it might have been a jab that kind of just wobbled Chandler, where you were like, what the fuck was that? Like, how did he get hurt like that? And then he gets taken down, and he's really just kind of trying to rest there, and Ferguson wasn't letting him rest, and he wasn't really, letting him do shit. So it's the only fights that Ferguson has struggled in, really, was the Oliveira and Dariush fights. Two guys who are extreme superior grapplers at this stage of their careers. I don't see that happening in Bobby Green. I think the factor would be maybe Ferguson looks even worse than he was the last time out, and Bobby Green's speed might play a factor. But I would love to take. I'm not going to take it on here, but I would love to take some Ferguson prop of some sort, because I think the money is not right on this. I know Bobby Green should be the favorite, but I think he's too much of a favorite in this, because he's not that kind of guy that should be a minus 400 favorite against anyone. And Ferguson, although he is cooked, I mean, Bobby Green, if he's cooked, then Bobby Green's like sitting next to the stove, like ready to be put in. So like that's my only concern here, and that's why I'm staying away. But I think I don't like either. I really don't like either side. I don't trust either side, so I'm staying away completely. How about Michael Chiesa? The Maverick? Is that his what he's calling himself? Still to this
Dallas
day?
Maverick.
He's fighting Kevin Holland. This is going to be interesting in the sense that Holland notoriously has a suspect grappling game, right? I mean, he's went and trained in Dagestan at some point. He was training with DC. He's tried to work on different elements of his, grappling, jiu-jitsu, all that sort. And Michael Chiesa is strictly, pretty much primarily a grappler. And the last time we saw Chiesa out there was against Sean Brady, who I'd say he comported himself better than we thought he was going to, right? I mean, he was kind of boxing with Brady at a certain point, and then he was getting taken down, which, Brady's just a big, powerful grappler kind of guy, but you could argue he's kind of the one who not really exposed, but kind of shed some light on there's some holes in Sean Brady's game. So, I think Chiesa is really underrated in the sense, in the whole grand scheme of things. I just don't know if the physical element of this, which is going to be Holland's speed And his length, I think he's going to have a big advantage on, right? I mean, I don't know. I really didn't look at it, but I mean, Holland, he's going to have a 5.5, 6 inch reach advantage to, a 2-inch height advantage. Case is going to have to get in there and grapple him. Otherwise, it's going to be a long night out there. And I think Holland could hurt Case and get him out of there.
Yeah, and I think I saw that Holland was trying to push to make this at 185, which is interesting, very interesting. I guess maybe he's having a hard weight cut. It stays standing. He's going to win. If it goes to the ground, he's not. I think it's kind of that simple. Chiesa has that nasty body lock, nasty body triangle. I think he has 16 wins, 13 of them. Let's see, 16 wins, 10 are by sub. So yeah, he hasn't gotten sub in a little bit. I think the last time he did was against Carlos Condit. Yeah. Carlos Condit, but Dariush, Jim Miller, choking those guys out, even Iaquinta way back in the day. And then when he was on the Ultimate Fighter, he was knocking James Vick out.
Wow.
Yeah, who hasn't? Who hasn't? Mama's boy Mike Chiesa has been off for 2 years. I think that could be a factor. He says he feels the best he's ever felt.
They always say
he's 35. Now. Yeah, they always say that. He's 35 now. I think Tony Ferguson said that. I think Derek Lewis said that.
Yeah, I don't listen to pretty much anything what the fighters say anymore.
Especially as they get old, yeah. Kevin Holland, the 50% takedown defense. It's great
against
athlete.
Bigger guys, though. I think that is a factor that you have to include. He was fighting at 85, and the units that were taking him down are a little different than what he's going to deal with. Yeah, even though Case is good, but I mean, then you start naming the game names, and you're like, oh, well, what about this guy? What about this guy?
Oliveira, Kyle Dawkins, Marvin Vittori had 11 takedowns. Derek Brunson had 6.
I expect
the difference here is Chiesa is just so low volume. Like he lands less than 2 significant strikes per minute. He's got a decent ratio, but his accuracy isn't great. Like this is, I don't know. I think I might have to stay away from this fight too, just because I don't know which way it's going to go. I kind of want to take Michael Chiesa, but by sub, and I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to take Michael Chiesa to win by sub. There's just a glaring weakness in Kevin Holland's game that has never been shored up, never been patched up. I know he's fought tough guys, but he does that to himself. He does a lot of these things to himself. Chiesa plus 375 by sub. I kind of like that. I think honestly, Kevin Holland
410
could also
handle for you, sir.
I think Kevin Holland could get a sub. Like we saw Chiesa get Darst recently, and we saw Kevin Holland Darst Tim Means, right? So it's Kevin Holland's issues are defensively. I don't think he has any issues offensively.
Yeah.
I don't think he has any issues as an athlete, such a supreme athlete, but. I really, really can't trust him. And, the Ponzinibbio fight was pretty good, but even then it took him a while to do what he should have done. I got Chiesa by sub. I might regret it. I don't know. It's just a tough fight to get a hold of. I think Chiesa knows what he has to do and is going to go for it is the thing here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just worry that I just worry about that whole height and reach advantage. And I know Chiesa's probably fought guys who are bigger, and he'll have more than likely no trouble getting in on a takedown and getting him down. And like you said, getting that back triangle. I don't think that will really be an issue for him. If he gets in there, I just worry if about him actually getting in on the takedown. And I think I'm going to take Holland. I think I'm going to take Holland inside the distance, and I just think that he's going to catch him. And Chiesa is a guy who, when he's fighting a guy who actually knows how to strike, doesn't seem like he likes, getting. He hasn't been TKO'd though. He's gotten submitted a lot. It seems he's got 4 submission losses. He's only been TKO'd once, and that was, I believe, a long time ago. I don't remember. I think
Who is this?
Chiesa. I think his only TKO loss was to Joe Lozon back in 2014. So I'm actually going to stay away. I don't like
Darst by Masvidal. Funny enough.
Yeah, that's insane. And I think he could get submitted in this, like you said. I'm just going to stay away. I don't like it. And I even wrote it down on the wrong side, so that gives me the right to scrub it out anyway.
Actually, scratch that Chiesa bet. I'm scratching it.
Wow, really? No sub?
Late scratch. I'm just I don't know what to do. I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I don't like anything involved with this.
And I kind of want to root for Kevin.
Chiesa's a tough guy to bet and root for, man.
Yeah.
I had him when he fought.
Kevin Lee.
Was it Neil Magny? That was the main event at Abu Dhabi card, right? Yes. Yeah, and that was like an afternoon on a Wednesday. That's right. I remember that.
Man.
Now.
Yeah.
I was rooting for him, and that was
2021.
boring as shit. That was one of the most boring fights I ever watched, and it was just Chiesa takedown, and that could happen in this fight. But I'm just staying away, and we now move on to the prelim element of this.
Here we go, baby.
So
here's the bet.
This is your bet
Here's
right here?
Here's where we wake up.
Let's go. Trevin Giles. Woo! Woohoo! All right. Trevin Giles. Gabriel Bonfim. I believe Bonfim is a big favorite in this. Am I right? Or is this, minus 330 on most of these cards, some 350s. To Trevin Giles is plus 270, 260. The last time the Bonfim brothers fought on the same day, isn't that what happened? Now the other Bonfim brother has taken a loss since then, and this guy mounted guillotine Munir Laziz like it was nothing.
That was nice.
I mean, he walked through him. He has a lot of finishes on his record. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. All of his fights have ended by finish. 11 submissions, 3 TKO/KO finishes. Trevin Giles, now, he's a guy who kind of likes to get into these boring sort of wrestling affairs, and this seems like a setup, if you ask me, man. And I don't know, usually setups don't always go the way they want them to go, right? I mean, they
Julia Stoliarenko.
Yeah, exactly. They kind of try to lay them up sometimes, and the person they throw the alley-oop, and the person misses it. They fumble it, they dunk it off the back. Shit happens. I'm going to go Bonfim here. I think this is an easy bet, but it just depends on what the number you can get. I mean, Bonfim is minus 200 on the inside the distance, so you have to pick one. It's either TKO or it's submission, and the submission is plus 110. You can get it at 140 on some of these. I'm probably going to bet that submission at plus 140.
As well. Yeah, I think that's my pick here. I think he's just better. Honestly, I think Giles has a pretty good jab. I think he can box a little bit, but it's just low output. Remember that Louis Kosuke fight? That was so fucking terrible.
He should have walked through him, and that took that was just way too boring, way too long.
I know he's the vet. He has the experience here. He beat Roman Dolidze. That was a very good performance from him. When he beat James Krause, it was a pretty good performance back then.
Yanni the Greek?
I just...
my bad. Sorry, my bad.
I think he has suspect cardio. We saw that in the Preston Parsons fight. We've seen it in a lot of his fights, right? In the GM3 fight, he pretty much was just let him have it. Same with Zach Cummings. Defensive issues. He can be hurt. He can be taken down. He got dropped by Michael Morales. He got dropped by Dricus. He got dropped by Zach Cummings before he got submitted. And yeah, I trust him. I don't trust him at all. I trust him zero. Maybe the odds makers are jumping the gun here with Bonfim. Maybe. I don't know if Munir Laziz is, a world beater or anything, but he's long, he's tall, he's big for this weight class, and Bonfim did what he had to do. Same thing with Trey Waters. Trey Waters, again, he's not great or anything, but he's 6'5", 77-inch reach, right? He Von Flue choked him. So very impressive what Bonfim can do. I think I don't know. I would say he's the better of the brothers. It's easy to say after the other brother just lost, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, looking at his regional fights, his fights before the UFC, these guys had decent records, and he took care of them accordingly. First round Darce. He's been in the third round before, so I think he gets it done at some point. I think he submits Trevin Giles by rear naked, Von Flue, some kind of choke of some sort. And that's my bet. It's my pick, and I'm going to hammer it.
That might be my gold star bet of the day, the sub. I think that is, I just think that's a big, nice number to get that at when a guy has 11 of his 14 fights and finished by submission. And he's fighting a guy who kind of likes to grapple and really doesn't like to strike, so it just kind
even
of...
panic grapple sometimes,
and he's going to get caught in something. That's my... I could see him maybe getting chipped and then him going, fuck this, and then going in on a takedown and getting guillotined or something like that, so...
Yep.
Yeah, I like the submission bet. How about Derek Lewis? Kind of buried here on the prelims. A guy who formerly used to be a main event mainstay on those fight nights. They loved using this guy, but He has his career has taken a little bit of a downturn of recent. He lost 4 of his last 6. It just with wins against Curtis Blades, which was, you could argue, a fluky sort of finish. Even though I'm pretty sure he was going to win that. He was winning that fight at least. Curtis Blades was terrified of him, and rightfully so. He got turned into a lawn chair. And he's lost to Gane, Tuivasa, Pavlovich, Spivak, guys who aren't complete bums. You would agree, right? I mean, those are some of the upper level of
some of the better, yeah.
And now he's fighting a guy in Marcos Rogerio de Lima, who is a big guy, but minus 215, 230 for him. I mean, I understand it, but like, what is De Lima going to do to him? Is it going to be sort of a grappling sort of approach? Because these guys are pretty much the same age. They're going to be around the same weight, but Derek Lewis is a 4-inch reach advantage, and he's the bigger guy. So,
yeah, I would say Rogerio de Lima is going to have to do what he did in his last fight against Waldo Cortez Acosta. Chip at those legs. He does really good work to the legs, and I think that's going to matter here. Derek Lewis is not checking legs at this stage checking leg kicks at this stage in his career. He's not. He just isn't going to do it. I think back in the day, a couple of years ago, he smokes him. Like Derek Lewis or I don't know if he is or was able to explode from the bottom. Right, he gets taken down. You can lay on a little bit, and then he kind of like will go to his belly, give up his back, and just kind of explode. Right, he used to do that. I don't know if he still can. It seems like he looks for a way out almost every single time. He's just past it, man. The power is the last thing to go. It's cool and all, but getting taken down 6 times in 3 minutes against Sergey Spivak, that's worrying. It's definitely a concern. I don't know if I do know that Rogerio de Lima is not as good as Spivak, but I think Rogerio de Lima can push some cardio or push some wrestling. He got 3 of 7 against Waldo Cortez Acosta, who's pretty much came to the UFC as a boxer, literally as a pro boxer. So I think it's going to be tough at first to take down Lewis. I think he can stuff some. He's super strong. He's bigger, 6'3", 79-inch reach. So I think Derek Lewis is going to have to get him out there quick, and I think it's kind of possible, right? I mean, I don't know if Rogerio de Lima is the best in the world. We've seen him insta-tap a couple times against. It's funny, he didn't against Alexander Romanov. He just went to sleep. He's like, you know what? I'm not doing it. I'm not going to Stefan Struve myself or OSP myself. Or remember he fought Antigulov, whatever his name is. He got guillotined within like 12 seconds. But he does have very good low kicks. I think he can lay and pray-ish. I think he can kind of just neutralize Derek Lewis on the ground. He should, like I said, he should have a Sergey Spivak path to victory. He's also never been knocked down in the UFC, Rogerio de Lima. So that's interesting. I just think he gets it done here. I think he has multiple paths to victory. I think he can hurt Derek Lewis also. I think he's more fresh. I know he's the same age, only a couple months younger, but I think he's just much more fresh. I mean, he's won 2 in a row. He got Andre Arlovski out there very early, like he should, and he beat Waldo Cortez Acosta in a good match, but a fight that he won. He put Ben Rothwell out of there quick. Look what he's done to some of these guys that are old, past it, and need to be put out to pasture. Ben Sassoli got him out of there quick. So I know Derek Lewis is different. I get it, but I think this is not the same Black Beast. He could put one of those Black Beast Blitz performances up where he just comes out and he comes after you and you're like, fuck. What I was going to do is not on the table anymore. Now you're lighting up the stars at the lights wondering what happened. I just don't think Derek Lewis has it in him anymore. I really don't. He's just looking for ways out. That's all he's doing. The competition he's fought is.
Don't forget about that. Oh my god!
I can't. He's going to
be huffing and puffing 2 minutes into this fight.
I can't imagine what both of these guys honestly are going to look like after 1 or 2 rounds. Hopefully, he doesn't get that far. I honestly, at that point, anything goes. But I don't see it. How does Marcos Rogerio de Lima struggle taking him down after a couple exchanges or a couple minutes in the ring? I don't think it's going to be hard for him at all. So I got Rogerio de Lima inside the distance. I think he smokes him. Not sure how, or I do know why. I'm not sure how, but minus 130, I'll take it.
I'll take it with you. I really wanted to stay away from this, but You know what? No, I am going to stay away. I'll let you take that. I don't trust that he doesn't, like you said, just get blitzed, or like I just don't. I don't trust Derek Lewis. I never know what version of him is going to show up. And you got minus 130. It's usually, I mean, we're hoping the bad one, and it is at elevation, but like you said, it's not going to be good for either one of these guys at elevation. These guys are big, large human beings, and
big and large.
Yeah, big and large, man. That's. I mean, I'm trying to see if De Lima has. I mean, he probably has in his career at some point fought at elevation, but it's just. All right, I'm gonna stay away from that. You get the inside the distance. You have it. Roman Kopylov, Claudio Ribeiro. When was the last time Claudio got in there? It was pretty exciting, wasn't it? Ground and pound finish of Joseph Holmes. That didn't do much for all the people out there. After that's right, he got fucking finished. You could say definitely finished by Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Kopylov 10-2. His last time out there was a good win against Puna Soriano, and then your cousin Alicio De Chirico, who is not active anymore. I believe he laid he laid the gloves in the octagon after that.
Laid the pasta in the octagon.
So yeah, he laid his gabagool down and said that's enough. But what are the odds here? I do not have them in front of me.
Minus 210 for Mr. Kopylov.
Jesus. Plus 170, 165 for Claudio. Do you have? I don't like either one of these.
I think Kopylov smokes him. I think he finishes him, knocks him out. I mean, he only has one fight that he hasn't won by TKO. He doesn't go for sub. So I got Roman Kopylov. Real quick, I'll just pump it out there by I can't find KO or TKO. Inside the distance, minus 105. I kind of like that.
TKO is plus 125 here, so I'll take that with you.
Yeah, I'm going to take that. I just think Claudio Ribeiro is just he has very good low kicks, very good power. That's it. I mean, all his wins are by knockout. Everything he's done has been inside the distance. I think he's only been he's been out of the first round 3 times, twice in the UFC and once before the UFC. He went to the 5th round with a 24-20 guy. That was right before the Contender Series. Kellis Albuquerque.
Oh, come on.
Kel Folia.
What kind of WWE ass name is that, dude?
41 years old. He just won a fight by illegal strike. So
great.
Shout out to Mr. Albuquerque. But like I said, man, then he fights a guy in the Contender Series, Ivan Valenzuela. I don't think that guy was any good. Bam Bam. If your nickname is Bam Bam, you're probably not good. And then he fights Al Hassan. 2nd round starts, he gets smoked. Joseph Holmes, it took him a little bit, but he got Joseph Holmes out of there. I think Kopylov's just a bit different. I think he's low output. He's always been low output in his career, but the last 2 fights have been different. The Dihirico fight was close until the end, but then that Puna fight, man, was just awesome. He walked through Puna very easily. Very, very impressive performance. Took him down even. I think he controlled him, not for long, but he outstruck him at distance, 76-33. And Puna is a pretty aggressive fighter, I would say. Kind of similar to Claudio Ribeiro. If you look at who Kopylov has fought and had trouble with in his UFC career, it's Duraev, it's Carl Roberson. These guys are a bit, the Carl Roberson sub is definitely a red flag, right? But Dihirico, Duraev, and Roberson are definitely different than Puna and Claudio. They will sit back. They will wait. They like to wrestle a lot. Puna and Claudio are not trying to do that at all. And Claudio has no cardio coming into this fight, so he fights at elevation. I think he's cooked. He is going to be cooked. He's going to have to get him out of there early, which I guess could happen. But he's bigger than Kopylov, but not by much. So I think, listen, going from Joseph Holmes to Roman Kopylov is a huge difference. Huge difference. When Kopylov goes for it, man, he's got good striking, good boxing. He's got a combat sambo background too in his back pocket just to help him out. I got Kopylov inside the distance here. I think he smokes him TKO round 1 or round 2, and that's all she wrote.
I like that. I'm going to take the TKO plus 125 as well. We have Jake Matthews. Was his name the Celtic Kid or whatever the fuck it was? Yeah, the Celtic Kid. That's never made sense to me, but doesn't matter. Darius Flowers, is a late replacement for Miguel Baeza, who Matthews was supposed to fight. He pulled out with, I am not exactly sure, some sort of injury.
No,
COVID. Really? I was about, yeah, it would have been like, oh, okay, wow, that's crazy. But We really don't know much about Darius. I know he won a fight on the Contender Series with that breaking that dude's arm or his shoulder. Fucked that guy up. But
the sniper.
He doesn't have a lot of great looking wins or losses. May that be on the regional scene. He does have a canceled bout with Jay Ellis, a bunch of them. So
God damn it.
So we got robbed of that historical bout, which would have been him and Jay Ellis getting in there. And as you know, you people know, Jay Ellis, he hasn't been active. The Hurricane. The last time we seen him out there was March. He got rear naked choked, but he had a boxing match that got canceled. He is now He's now 16 and 107. 108. I'm sorry. In MMA, Jay Ellis. He's 39. He's running out of time, so hopefully he gets back in there. It's been a while. I don't know if they just shut him down and don't let him fight anymore.
I think they should do that. I think they should shut him down.
I don't think that would be the worst idea ever. But
he's went to this. He's went to the distance 4 times in 100 and what?
I believe 115. Some crazy amount of.
It's funny. He's got all this experience, I guess, which isn't even that much experience considering the fights go 30 seconds. But he's fighting 1-0, 0-2, and he's still getting fucking walked through. Like it's just, what a guy!
What a guy, man. So do you? What are the odds? I guess is the question here. Minus 260, 275 for Jake Matthews. Darius Flowers is plus 205, 210, rightfully so. I would say. I even wonder why Jake Matthews isn't a bigger favorite on a guy who's kind of making his UFC debut. But, I guess Matthews has had some shaky performances. The Semmelsberger one where he got dropped, 4 times at least? He did not look good in that fight at all. This is a guy who's either really kill or be killed. I don't know. I just... My instinct would be to bet at Matthews inside the distance, but I've kind of been getting burnt on a lot of these, so I might stay away from this.
How crazy Matthews has 17 fights in the UFC. He's only 28. He's just like a year older than me.
He's been fighting for so long, man.
I can't believe it. I guess, when he's just very inconsistent, man. Very, very inconsistent. He beat the Leech, but he also lost to Andrew Holbrook. He gets anaconda by Rocco Martin, then comes out here and beats Diego Sanchez pretty easily. The Andre Fiallo fight was awesome. I had him in that fight. He smoked him. Yep. Did really well. He's much more technical, much more experienced, but he has earned the nickname Jake the Flake for a reason, right? So a lot of his wins just aren't really that great, looking back on him. He's never been KO'd, that's for sure. Semmelsberger almost KO'd him 12 times, but never been KO'd. I really think if he looks to use his wrestling, he should cruise here. The problem is, he doesn't always do that. The Fiallo fight, he had no interest in doing that, which is fine. I guess he thought he could KO him, but still, somebody with as much power as Fiallo had, I thought he was going to try to take him down. Didn't look for it against Brady, obviously. Didn't really look for it against Diego Sanchez or that Rostam Akhman guy. There's been so many different times he just has to look for it. And I think this is what he should do. I think Darius Flowers has a wrestling background, but look at all his losses: sub. He can't grapple defensively at all. He's taking the fight on short notice. He's a big dude. He's very physically imposing, explosive, powerful. But his nickname is Beast Mode. Shout out to Marshawn Lynch. But I think he can be controlled here easily. I don't trust Jake Matthews to do it. I think if he did it, he'd probably look minus 1,500. If he looked to wrestle. I'm sure he's probably got better cardio too. Bigger. They're both 28. Being the same age as somebody and having 17 more UFC fights than him. That's something. So I think that's going to be very telling here. I got Jake Matthews by sub. Not going to bet it because I don't know. When's the last time he subbed anybody? Shinsho Anzai. Yeah. So I'm staying away from this guy.
I do like Jake Matthews in this fight. It just the number doesn't make sense to me. It makes me think that they know this is going to be closer than it should be. I guess because you would think I don't know. I guess I have a little bit. He's finished when he finished Filaho. He look like a fucking world beater that night. You're like, wow,
yeah.
He beat the brakes off him. But then you look and Filaho's taken some L's since then. So. And like you said, a lot of those wins, other than the Lee fight, the against the Leech, don't really look that great. And even that one is just whatever. But Inside the distance is minus 115, and him to win, a TKO plus. I really don't know what I like. I would like to just probably throw him in on a parlay of some sort because I think he wins. I just don't know really how.
We don't know much or anything about Flowers, which very much concerns me.
Oh, it should. Like you said, you named a couple of these fights that he's lost a lot. You know, he's got 4 submission losses on his record. I think I will take
to nobodies.
Yeah, to nobody. I think I'm just going to take the sub plus 220 and just.
I fuck with it. Hoping he can just be smart here, but
yeah, who knows, right? I mean, maybe he hurts him, and then that guy, like you said, panic wrestles. He gets caught in something. That I don't really like that bet, if I'm being honest, but I have to take something. I'm running out of time here.
There's a gun to your head.
Yeah,
currently.
CJ Vergara and Vinicius Salvador are getting in there. Now this part of the card is on a different area of my betting website. There it is. Minus 155 for CJ, who has really kind of had not a up and down, but just you really never know what you're getting from him, man. He looks good, and then he loses he gets armbarred, and then he looks good, and then he loses to Odie Osborne. It's just a lot of random wins. Clayton Rodriguez, he looked awesome against, and he was a big-time underdog in that. He fights Daniel Lacerda, who, like you said, has 4 straight losses. I think we said that on one of the last episodes. All finishes, and he's going to get another fight, which is pretty...
That's how good he is.
Pretty wild. Yeah, he's definitely exciting. He's fighting Edgar Chairez. So, and that guy, they're trying to lay him up a victory so that they can kind of have him around. Basically, and Vinicius, you didn't like him on the Contender Series. You've never really been a fan of Phenomeno, who there are 17 Phenomenos in the UFC, it seems.
So many.
He loses a fight to Victor Altamirano, which was an easy bet for you, I believe, which was that was in March. So I ask you, Ty, do you have anything here?
I'm very tempted to bet Vinicius Salvador.
Wow.
I can't make CJ Vergara a favorite or a big favorite against anybody. Even in the Daniel Lacerda fight, he was struggling very early in the first round. I believe if I go back to that Clayton fight, I could be wrong, but it was kind of tricky early on there too. Yeah. First round, did he get outstruck in the first round? Yeah. Doubled up. So it seems like he takes the first round off a lot of times. I know that, the way to beat Salvador is probably taking him down. He has a black belt with the Hivas family. He's been training in the mountains, like I said. So I think he's trying to work on things. He's a bit different than Claudio Ribeiro, where I think he has made some improvements. He's only 27. The Altamirano fight, he lost, but he did okay. I mean, 3-22 on takedowns, Altamirano. That's a hard pace to push. And, they're both – Salvador is very very exciting, I guess. He wastes some movements. He dumps his gas tank. He even got a takedown of his own against Altamirano, I think, in the second round. And he did okay pretty much when it was on the feet. He did decent. CJ Vergara, 0 takedowns in his UFC career. That's the way to beat Salvador, and that's something he doesn't have. Pretty good boxer, CJ is. He's pretty much known for his cardio. He's known for being a comeback king. He's produced as an underdog multiple times. Takes over late.
And I can see that happening in this one, by the way.
Yeah, he has good power. He knocked Bruno Correa down twice, but he also got dropped by Daniel Lacerda twice. He also almost got subbed by Daniel Lacerda. Tatsuro Taira, pretty much insta-tapped him. I just have a lot of questions about CJ Vergara. Lacerda, or I should say Salvador, is bigger, younger, longer reach. I'm going to go Vinicius Salvador money line.
I'm with you.
I kind of want to take him inside the distance, but I'm just going to take his money line because I don't know what the fuck's going to happen in this fight. Like, if he took CJ Vergara down, I'd be like, sure, why not? Or if he subbed him, I'd be like, yeah, I guess I could see that. He pretty much only has KOs, but he does have 1 sub for what it's worth. I know it was a long time ago. I can't even find it. It might have been his first pro fight. But CJ Vergara I just think he's got a low ceiling. Low ceiling. He's got good cardio. Again,
take a shot too. That's why I don't want to take that inside the distance.
Right. At elevation, you have a guy who has good cardio against a guy who doesn't. that sucks, right? Vinicius Salvador, it took him a while to get Shannon Ross out of there, and he was even eating some shots from him. But also, he put him out bad. Like he might have set up the rest of Shannon Ross's career. The Turkish delight. So, this isn't a strong play, but I have to go with the dog, and I think he's a pretty solid underdog here. I'm going to go Vinicius de Almeida Salvador.
This seems like one of those fights where I'm just taking the underdog. It's very right down the middle. But I do just like the matchup with Salvador kind of winning a decision. I could see him winning a decision. I just don't trust it enough to take that bet. But how about we go Matt Semmelsberger and Uros Medic, who this is an Alaskan legend, I believe, Uros, who was not born in Alaska. But he now fights out of Anchorage, Alaska, which is always a red flag for me. He's from Serbia.
Actually, not true. Not true. He trains out of King's MMA now. So, he's got away from his comfort zone.
Thank you for telling me, because that would have been an insta-fade, as we would like to say.
Well,
here.
It still should be an insta-fade. However, at least he's got out of his comfort zone, right? He's a big boy for 155, so moving up, not as much of an issue as I thought. I didn't realize how big he was. 6'1", 71-inch reach. Semmelsberger 6'1", 75. They're both 30. I also apparently this is unconfirmed. Apparently, Uros Medic is coming into this fight with an injury. Looking back on his Instagram in March, he was in a cast. He had a hand injury that he tried to rush back from, re-aggravated, had to get surgery. That's an issue. I see you in a cast in March, and then you're fighting in July against somebody like Matthew Semmelsberger. That's gonna be a fucking tough fight for anybody. Jeremiah Wells, I thought he was going to cruise through him. He did not. Alex Morano did not. Jake Matthews, it was tough. Martin Sano went a tough, long 15 seconds. Semi the Jedi. I think his offensive wrestling should work here. It's not something he necessarily goes to or uses much, but I think it's something that should work. I don't know what Medic's cardio is going to look like. Short notice, moving up in elevation. Semmelsberger, king of knockdowns. He's got 6 in his last 3 fights. I think he has 9 altogether in his UFC career. Fucking nuts. Pretty much averages a knockdown per fight. Takedown accuracy is pretty good, 70%. I know Wells took him down a bunch of times. Wells is a huge power grappler. He took down Matthews 3 times. He even took down AJ Fletcher, who that's pretty much all AJ Fletcher does. Took him down a couple times. So I think Semmelsberger can mix it up a little bit. I have issues with Medic defensively and just after the first round, a lot, just in general with his overall game. I think Jalen Turner smoked him. I think Semmelsberger hits hard too, maybe harder than Jalen Turner. So this is going to be a rude awakening, rude welcoming to the welterweight division for Mr. Medic. I'm going Semmelsberger inside the distance. I want to go TKO, but I'm just going to go inside the distance.
You're getting Semmelsberger plus 100 on here.
Maybe I should just go KO, TKO. Maybe I should just do that.
TKO is plus 150.
Yeah, solid. Send it.
All right. I like that. TKO plus 150. Semmelsberger's not a submission guy, right? Never. Does he have any on his record?
1.
And who is that against? Probably somebody, was it a while ago or was it recent?
He had a heel hook in his second pro fight against Brian Maxwell. I believe he played for the Rockets one time.
No, come on, no way. Brian Maxwell.
Oh, my God. I knew his name sounded familiar. He fought Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco, to a draw on the Mayweather-Jake Paul undercard. I knew that's where that name sounded familiar.
There you go. I'm gonna take Semmelsberger TKO as well. So, because I am not gonna bet a guy who only has a heel hook. If he submits this guy, I'll actually want to commit the big one. But I'm not gonna do that. Semmelsberger plus 150. TKO, and now we have one more fight, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about.
The big one.
It is the only female fight on the entire card, which is actually insane.
Thank God if you're Max. He hates females.
They're getting it out of the way. That's not true. And they're getting it out of the way immediately. Miranda Maverick, Priscilla Cachoeira. If you're going to start a fight with a female fight, or start a card with a female fight, you need Priscilla Cachoeira in there because she is the definition of kill or be killed. She will break every rule in the book. in order to try and win. She's dirty, and that's all I have to say about that pretty much. Let's see the line, though. We have minus 280 for Miranda Maverick. Priscilla Cachoeira, who has about 5 minutes in her, is at plus 235, 220. I don't trust Miranda Maverick after some of these recent, especially a loss to Jasmine Jones the Vicious, where she got dominated, where that she looked like a prime Habib in that fight. A wins against Sabina Mazo, Shanna Young, really don't do much for me either. And she should have beat Macy Barber, but that we still will argue about that till this day. I don't like anything here. I think I'm going to stay away.
I think she should submit Priscilla Cachoeira pretty easily. I don't know if she will, so I'm not going to take that. I know she submitted Sabina Mazo, but she hasn't done anything besides that. Her win against Jillian Robertson I did like, but Jillian Robertson had moved down after that. I think her fight against Jasmine was more telling for Jasmine. I think we underrated Jasmine. I think that's pretty much what happened. It was a bad look, but Jasmine looked good. So I don't want to take too much away from Miranda Maverick. This is short notice. She's stepping in for Joanne. Don't call me Carter Wood. Miranda Maverick is well-rounded and technical, but kind of low volume. Won't really scare or hurt you. The problem is, she also has good length. I think she has a longer reach than Priscilla, despite being 4 inches shorter. The problem with Priscilla Cachoeira is she'll just get taken down and laid on for the entirety of the round or the fight. I mean, Jillian Robertson took her down. That was it. It took her until the very end of the round to get her in that rear naked choke. I had her in that. But she did it, When she fought Luana Carolina had some time. Had some control time, has a couple submission attempts, if I remember correctly. Molly McCann took Priscilla Cachoeira down. That's just an issue here. I don't see how Miranda Maverick doesn't take her down. I think it's going to be a little bit of an issue when they're standing up. Priscilla has that, first round KO power that not many women have. Shannon Dobson got her out of there in a minute. Ariane Lipsky almost a minute. Gina Mazzani in the second round, your girl. Priscilla has good power, and she just,
I stand with
she's a dog. She's awkward, too. She's an awkward fighter, and she's won as a dog before, but she gets taken down so easily, can't really work her way back up. I think Miranda Maverick wins every round just by controlling her and, landing little pot shots on the ground. It should just be easy. I know this is a bounce-back spot for her. It's tough because the fight starts standing, but how do you not just time a takedown perfectly against Priscilla Cachoeira, So I think that's what she does and how she does it. Should be easy, but nothing's ever really easy with Miranda Maverick. So I'm going to stay away.
I'm going to go inside the distance. I really didn't want to bet this, but inside the distance is plus money,
good matchup.
Plus 140. I don't trust that she doesn't get her down and just start punching her. I really would like to take sub. That's the actual play that I'd like to, but I'm trying to be safe here. With too many inside the distance already on the card, plus 140. So that is UFC 291. We are not done now, though, ladies and gentlemen. We have a big-time boxing event to talk about, and that is Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. I'm trying.
Oh, baby, the fight of the century is what they are. Is what they're saying about this guy. This fight. That's what the name of this fight is going to be. The fight of the century. I believe it. A little bit too late, in my opinion. They're in their 30s. And I think both of them have, they've lost a little bit of their athleticism. They've lost a little bit of their defensive prowess. We saw in Errol Spence's last fight, he got hurt by Yordenis Ugas. He's got a great poker face. This time we didn't see that. He did, rebound well from that and ended up finishing him. Errol Spence likes to shut people's eyes. That's what he does. He likes to take people's orbital bones home with him. The Kell Brook fight absolutely just destroyed him. Same with Chris Algieri. The Sean Porter fight was close. The Danny Garcia fight was not that close, but kind of close. So his last 3 fights, Spence has been hit more than we've seen ever. But you can also say the same about Terence Crawford when he fought Mean Machine, Kavalauskas. He was getting hit. When he fought, I'm trying to think of who else back in the day when he fought Gamboa, he was getting hit. The Sean Porter fight was good. He got him out of there in the 10th. So I think, Terence Crawford's awkward. He throws punches from different angles, very crafty on offense. I think he can create some problems for Errol Spence for sure. But if he doesn't drop Errol Spence at all, I don't think he wins this fight. Like, I think he's going to have to steal some rounds by dropping him or finishing him, obviously. Because if it's just straight up boxing at distance or whatever, I think Spence wins. I think Spence is much more active. He usually throws 50 or 60 punches around while Crawford's in the 30s, especially early in the fight. Crawford has stopped pretty much everybody that he's fought at 147, but what happens if he doesn't? I think he's pretty much. I don't think he's finished or bust, but I think he kind of is. They're very different styles too. Crawford's like a hot-tempered guy. Spence knows when to take his foot off or on the gas pedal. Crawford, he gets hit, he immediately wants to hit you right back, which it can work, but also cannot work. It could be, go to his detriment. I could see him getting hit hard here in this fight. He's also the closer, it seems like Terence Crawford is. So, everybody's doing well against Terence Crawford until they're not. Errol Spence is a bit different. He's more calculated. He'll go to the body. He'll rip the body much more than Terence Crawford. I think that's going to win him the fight, Errol Spence. I think he's going to go to the body early. I think he's going to start hot. And I just think he has a structural advantage in winning rounds. Honestly, I think that's what he's done his whole career. He's pretty much shut guys out for large parts of his career. I know the Sean Porter fight was close, but it shouldn't have been a split, I don't think. And the Danny Garcia fight was kind of close as well. Kell Brook was doing well until he got his eyes shut. But seeing Spence as the underdog, I've always thought he's the best boxer in boxing. I always thought he was the best welterweight. Crawford moving up doesn't change that to me. The one thing that does kind of concern me about Spence, he has to move up after this fight. Pretty much, he's talked about how this weight cut is bad for him. And a couple of years ago, I remember there was a video. They were like arguing with each other. They were kind of having like some friendly banter. And Crawford said, when I stop this guy, everyone's going to say he was weak and he can't fight at 147 anymore. Now we have Spence coming out and saying, yeah, I can't really do this anymore. It's tough on my body. I'm not the 27-year-old I once was. So that's kind of an issue, right? There's a big difference between welterweight and super welterweight or junior middleweight, as they call it, for 154. Like, I could kind of see Spence losing this fight and then saying, I'm done with 147 and moving up. He said he wants this, if there is a rematch, he wants it to be at 154. So I think that could be a potential a wrinkle in this fight. If Crawford hurts him, it's going to be due to Spence being drained and also his defensive issues that have matriculated over the last couple of years. Crawford is, power's the last thing to go, and he's 35. That kind of does worry me. He's been more active than Spence. Spence has been in a couple of car accidents. But he's got Derek James on his side, trainer of the year last year, could be trainer of the year this year. He's training with Garcia, Joshua, a bunch of other guys. I got Errol Spence to win a 7-5, 8-4 unanimous decision. I like Spence plus money to win a decision. I think it's plus 225. Yeah, by decision or technical decision. 225, Errol Spence, send it to the bank.
I'm kind of with you. I think what's the money line? Is he the favorite?
I want to say plus 120. I think he is the underdog slightly still. He's been the underdog the entire time, which I just don't really get. Like, he's younger. I know he hasn't been as active, but this is his division. Terence Crawford has not been a 147 guy his whole career. I know he's pretty much he's stopped everybody at 147 that he's fought. Mean Machine, Kell Brook, Sean Porter, David and Avanesian. Did he fight Amir Khan at 147? I don't believe he did. Yeah, he did. Did he fight Benavidez at 147? He did. Jeff Horn, that should have been at 147. Yeah. Ndongo was at 147. It was not. So the guys he's fought at 147, I don't want to take too much away from them, but Jeff Horn, Jose Benavidez Jr. and Mean Machine, not great guys. It took him nine rounds at least to finish all three of them. 6 rounds to finish Avanesian. So I really think that's the biggest the biggest X factor for me is going to be each guy's chin. Who can eat the other fighter's biggest punches? Who can take it and walk through it and maybe answer with his own? I think that's probably Crawford. But I think Spence is better defensively. He has been, like I said, his chin's been tested more times than usual, but I think he's the defensively sound fighter. I think he is. I like his style more. I think he's stronger, bigger. I think he's going to win the early rounds. I think the early rounds are going to go to Spence, and middle to late, if he doesn't get dropped, I think he's going to be safe. But I could see it going a couple different ways. I could see Spence hurting Crawford in the body. I don't see why not. Crawford has this aura of being invincible, but he hasn't fought somebody like Errol Spence yet. Just like Errol Spence hasn't fought somebody like him. So it's going to be a fucking great, great fight. I think it still should be. I know they're older, but I still think it should be a great fight.
I'm excited. I'm going Errol Spence too. I just like you said. I tend to just like to bet the younger guy anyway, but
right.
I've always been impressed by, like you said, his kind of defense, and I think he's going to be the quicker guy, right? I mean, he
should be.
You never know.
Will throw from weird angles and whatnot, but Spence is so technical. I mean, this is a guy who probably should have won gold or at least silver at the Olympics in 2012, I think. I remember watching the USA team. It was Terrell Gaethje, who's won a belt at middleweight, or light heavyweight, I think. It was Spence, and it was, who's the third American? I can't think of it. Marcus Brown, who fought at he fought at light heavyweight, and Gaethje fought at middleweight. All three of them have had very, very good success in their career, and Spence was robbed in the bronze medal match, I believe. Could have that wrong. It might not even be for him. He was robbed in the Olympics. Olympic boxing is just a joke. I remember Roy Jones literally beat the piss out of this Asian fella. I don't know if he's Japanese or Chinese or Korean. I forget. He beat the piss out of him, and the refs gave the fight to him. And Roy Jones didn't get a gold medal, even though he literally knocked this guy down like 4 times. So that's a joke. But Spence has been ready for this moment. He's been building up his entire career for this legacy fight. Same as Crawford, but Crawford's chasing him. It's not the other way around.
Anything else we should be of note this weekend overall?
Well, Nonito Donaire, who put on one of the best performances against Naya Inoue, is going to be on this card as well. Isak Cruz, who put on one of the best performances against Gervonta Tank Davis and has won 2 straight, is going to be in the co-main. Steven Nelson, not the former Eagles corner, will also be on this card. Pretty good prospect. So it should be a pretty good card for what it's worth. I know people aren't going to watch it because of the UFC, but what's it on?
Showtime, I think.
Showtime, yeah, it makes sense. So it starts at 8, it says, the entire card, I guess. So we'll see. Hopefully these prelims fly by. But yeah, other than that, I don't think there's much. This is the weekend that we believe. This is the weekend.
Yeah.
We're going to miss weigh-ins, but I think we should be fine. Unless somebody comes into the scale, breaking the scale like Derek Lewis. I don't know. Also, fun fact about Derek Lewis, I forgot to mention this. What he said? He said he had to cut 25 pounds in 3 days before the Spivak fight and felt like he had to die. Felt like he was going to die.
Yeah, that's insta-fade, as I say.
But yeah, other than that, we have some Risen Bellator crossover. I know we don't like, we're a UFC pod over here, but it's cool to see other promotions cross promote. I think that's kind of cool. It's Magomedov and Danny Sabatello was fun. It was supposed to be AJ McKee and Patricky Pitbull. Now it's Patricky Pitbull and Roberto De Souza, who's awesome. So that should be a fun card. I think that starts more. It starts late Saturday at 11 p.m. That's going to go till 3 a.m. If they think they're getting viewers, good luck.
What time is it in Japan there? Like at that time?
I'm not sure.
Maybe that's an afternoon card for them. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I really have no idea, and I don't. To be truthfully honest, don't even care. So I don't even know why I asked. But maybe I'll be tuned in. Maybe I won't. That might be a little too late for the boy. But
maybe if there's not in between fights, we're like, let's see what Pitbull's doing.
Yeah, exactly. And you look and you're like, wait, who's fighting? You're like, oh, they have 4 more fights until the Pitbull fight. Okay, I'm gonna go to bed then. No, but like you said, man, Saturday is going to be awesome. If you are a combat sports fan, and hopefully you have nothing to do, because that's the best time to watch these fights is when you have nothing to do, or maybe you have a bunch of friends who think the same way, and you're going to have 30 people in there watching 7 different TVs of all the combat sports that are going on. Either way, I hope everyone out there has a great time, man, because I know I will. I'll be enjoying the UFC.
Absolutely.
I'll be enjoying this Spence Crawford fight.
The THC.
Maybe some fucking Miller Lights, some MLs are going to go down.
Some Miller High Life.
Yeah, whoever's willing to pay me to sponsor them, I will drink your beverage. Please, Surfside, there is also still opportunities here to sponsor on this podcast. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Shoulder Strikes MMA Podcast, brought to you by the Hot Take Hotbox. I am Matt McSweeney.
I am Ty Capone.
And as always, ladies and gentlemen, please make sure to set a wager limit before you go in this weekend and bet responsibly.
And do not bet on Derek Lewis.
You are now listening to the Hot Take Hotbox.